Hey everybody, welcome back. Blacktop Banter. We're here again, still in the office / studio, which is going to change next year. I promise. I cannot be in two places at once. It's bad enough being in two places in one place. So we're going to switch that up coming up here next year. But in the meantime, this guy and I always do exclusives. We do them during emergency times. We do them during lax times. And we team up quite often to give two different perspectives and ask questions about all kinds of things going on around you. So with no further ado, my good friend, who I don't think we don't speak every few days at least, Brian Hess. Brian, introduce yourself real quick. I would introduce you and say CEO of the Pavement Group, founder of Top Contractor School, yada yada, blah 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 blah. But we don't have enough time for that. I know you're most proud of being a family man, right? I got to see that one of the little guys this winter, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Father of four, man. Super proud. Kids are 9, 7, 4, and 2. An amazing wife. And just, man, have an amazing life. I just said to somebody today, like they said, I was down touring a facility, and the girl that was showing me around, she said, "You just seem to really love what you do." And I said, "Man, it is awesome to be able to say that I've gotten to a place in my life where I absolutely love what I get to do every day. You know, I get to wake up, look at my family, look around, come to work with people that I love, and just do what I love every single day. And so what a blessing, man."
When you think about that, I often tell people the story of you and I when we first met. You were working for a company here in Wisconsin, and somehow the algorithm of Snapchat, people that are in your near vicinity, was the quick ad, and mine said Wiscoat, and you clicked it and added, and you're like, "Yeah, my name is Brian. I work for another company here. What do you do?" And that's how we started communicating. Now, we never really stopped communicating, right? So we kind of got a little candid early on because you and I both had aspirations, and we were the only two people that I knew that kind of had aspirations out that were long term, with big vision. Now we fast forward, right? We're probably 6 years into our friendship or so. We are living in the things that we talked about 5 years ago, if not beyond that. In my mind, I think we're beyond that sometimes because, shoot, man, I've had the chance to go to Miami and see you speak. You've had the chance to witness people from all over the world come on my podcast that we never thought we would ever get to talk to or have any business talking with. And not only that, dude, we're in amazing places together as time goes on. So let's just flash back real quick about that. When we first met to now, you have a lot going on. What's it like? What's that feeling like, knowing that we're finally catching up to what you and I seen so long ago?
Yeah. The feeling is gratitude, man. Like, you know, while you're sitting there talking, I'm sitting there thinking like, dude, there's no way, you know, that I could have imagined 6 years ago, you know, in detail the way that it is today, you know. And that's probably the coolest part. It's like, and we both had, you know, big visions, and I had, you know, so many things I wanted to accomplish, but like, you know, for everybody out there that feels that way and feels like, man, maybe it's out of reach or something, like it's more within reach than you think. Cause when you get it rolling, man, it goes so much faster than you thought, right? One of the things I always say is we way overestimate what we can do in a day, but we way underestimate what we can do in a month or a year. And, you know, when you put in the work, you just show up every day and you keep going and you keep going. And you have that crystal clear vision, and you block out all the things that don't align with it, or as many of them as you can. It's incredible, man. And so gratitude is all over the place in my thoughts when I think about, you know, what I've been through, the ups and downs, the challenging times, the days where I didn't have clear vision. You know, I had a clear vision, but I didn't know exactly how I was going to get there. To, you know, going through all of that and getting to where it is now. And like, you know, you just think like, man, I'm just so grateful, you know, grateful for the relationships that are formed over those years and all the ups and downs. And even those people that were challenging over the years, you know, you're grateful for all of it because there's so many lessons buried in all of that. And, you know, to get where we're at now, and, you know, the things that we get to do and the things we get to do together, you know, traveling all over the United States and bringing our kids to the
Yeah,
world
it's
of
crazy.
asphalt and getting to interact. I mean, it's incredible, dude. And going back to where I started, like, I couldn't have imagined all of that 6 years ago. It's hard to wrap your head around. I knew that a lot of things needed to be done, and I knew that there were some skills that I had that I was hoping would be applicable to all of it. But it has been an incredible ride, man, and one full of gratitude.
What's crazy is if I'm able to sit back and think about what your natural skills were and what my natural skills are, and somehow both of these avenues maximized both of those skill sets in two different ways. One thing we always kept our minds and eyes on were the goals, not really so much competitively, but just, dude, you want to get this? Okay, this is how we're going to get there. Dude, you want to hit this? Okay, this is how we're going to get there. And we just kept doing that and climbing all the way up. One thing, a byproduct of that is when you have a vision in a space where it has never happened before, like you have and I have, we end up shedding some people because they just don't believe. They don't see it, they don't believe, and they're gonna throw some stuff in our way that is gonna hinder that vision and may cloud it and do it. The crazy thing is when we started to recognize that, it was the first time that I had actually recognized it and picked it out and said, okay, I can control this as well and kind of move this over here, move that over there, and stay on that one track mind to where we are. One way that we totally did that is through something you created, Top Contractor School. Created it early on. I remember when we were in Cleveland, we were both speaking. Dude, it definitely wasn't for the money. I can promise you that when we were there, right? Now, looking back, we were go ahead and building our credibility and building the foundation and building experience and going through that. TCS, from that point on, I think that was actually when that kind of started, right? Was Cleveland, and we kind of started jumping to it. We've surrounded ourselves in that group with people that want to succeed in one way, one fashion or another. And a byproduct of that, just being in there, is that things fall on your ears that are aspirations, and then things that are also motivational, because we're all at different tiers through there. So to be able to see some people succeed at a certain level and be able just to ask them, what's the next step for me, and them say it, the value of that is, to me, invaluable. I can't put a price on it because it's changed the trajectory of my business and things there. So let's real quick talk about what goes on in TCS. I don't know, monthly, weekly, yearly. There's things that happen once a year. There's things that happen once a week, once a month. Go ahead and touch on that real quick.
Yeah. So, starting back at the beginning, man, and the one thing I will say, you said speaking is, was not about the money. And I think that, anything in that realm, whether it's, speaking at any of those events, education for people within our industry, it can never be based on money for it to really be effective.
Right.
And so for me, from the beginning of Top Contractor School, I just had this vision of, so many people out there that I interacted with that they were experts in certain areas, but they were lacking in others, right? I think everybody has that. For me, natural abilities were sales and marketing and leadership, but, on the operations side, I need a lot of people to help me to be able to help me with that knowledge because I didn't have it. And so I just thought, man, if we could bring all these people together, that would be incredible. And so TCS has really evolved from, sales mentorship programs and operations mentorship programs, which, happened over a span of 8 weeks, to then at the end of those, people were like, man, how do we get more information? How do we stay together? If you remember, there was an Instagram chat with all the people that were in those mentorship programs that went on for like a year, right? And people were like, how do we do more? And I was like, well, shit, man, I don't know. Like, I didn't have a plan.
We got to
brainstorm.
We got to figure it out.
I just want to be able to help people. And so from that, we launched the elite program, and then eventually through the elite program, there were some people in ownership and leadership positions in their company that kind of said like, hey man, we should have a group for owners and leaders and, really be able to expand it. We want to be able to get together in person. And so the inner circle was born. And so today, as it exists, we have the elite group, which is basically for anybody, and that is an open group. Anybody can join. And those calls, we have 3 calls a month. So at this point, Keith Calloway and Kevin Gray are running those calls. So they do 1 call each, and then they do a Q&A call every single month. So, bring any problem you got in your business, in the panel of people that are in there, try to solve it. And then we have the Inner Circle group, and we meet once a week. Every single week, we talk about different topics, different things that are going on, challenges that are in the industry or going on around the world or in business. And then with the Inner Circle group, we do 2 retreats per year right now. We're just in the process of starting to implement a meetup in between those 2 retreats. But those 2 retreats, we try to make it a blast, man. Have it at cool destinations, put people up in hotels, all their meals and food and hotel is all included in that membership, and really get together for the weekend. And what's really cool about that group is, we did a couple of those retreats, and then after the last one, we asked for feedback, and they basically said the feedback was like, we just want to spend more time together. It wasn't like, any critique about the group. It was like, and so it's really become like a family, man. And even the elite group, like that whole thing has just become a place where not only do people want to win, as you were alluding to earlier, but they want everybody to win. And it's been the most, rewarding thing of my professional life, man, to watch people be able to evolve and grow, and to truly, not to sound cliche, but to watch people's lives change, in their businesses, in our business, but then beyond that, it's incredibly rewarding to watch, companies literally multiply, man, year over year. And it's just been amazing, man. And that family-like feel that we've created has been just, it's amazing, man. It's hard to describe it. It's hard to put into words what it feels like. But when you get in that room, everybody who's been in that room says the same thing. Like, man, there's just something different about this group of people, that it's so welcoming and so encouraging. And to your point, what you think is possible, those people in that room will push you to the limit to make sure that you're getting every single thing out of your life that you should be.
Yeah, it's safe. Like it literally feels safe, right? So to be in there and be in that presence and know that you have that each month, the connections and the people to fall back on feel safe. The risks don't feel quite as risky, and the fears aren't as scary as they would be if you were on your own. And that alone is something that's not really on the TCS website or anywhere else. Like that's not one of the bullet points of the benefits, but it totally is. And I think that's where you and I, somehow the universe connected us, because we really enjoy the fact that we get to see our friends succeed more and more and more and more, right? And if we don't know how, one thing that I'm really good at, besides talking till I fall over, is connecting people, right? I always, my brain somehow remembers who does what, where they are, where they're from, whatever. And I'm able to tell people, yep, talk to this guy. Yep, talk to this guy. Oh, you might want to go here. Oh, you might want to check this out. You might want to do that. And we've been able to do that with TCS and some people that it has literally changed the trajectory of their life, whether they were stale and plateaued for a while, or they had just started out and didn't know where they were going, and there they go up, or it was people that maybe were in a downward run and they're like, okay, dude, we got to figure something else out and go back up. So besides the calls, there's been forums, right? Like we had documents. I remember a couple of years ago, you sent me a document. I'll touch on this real quick. And you're like, oh, Marvin, when you start hiring people, that are going to be in leadership roles, have them fill this out. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I filed it with every other piece of paper that I got, because I had to put my boots on and go to work. One of the people that is both of our friends, mutual friend, Daniel Wright, I was talking to him earlier this year, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to have to make some changes. I got people coming. Like, I don't know how to really evaluate them. He's like, well, Top Contract School has this forum on how I want to be coached. I'm like, dude, I think I heard that before. He's like, yeah, dude, you probably did. And then I got remembering, I was like, oh crap. I was like, yeah, Brian gave me that. He said I was going to need that someday. So everybody here at orientation filled that out this year. It really helped out. Hopefully it saved me from sticking my foot in my mouth, and on some of these things. And I think you need that. I think you need that different perspective, which I'm going to keep hinting to that word. That seems to be a key word here. You need that different perspective from other people outside, and you get that. I realize that I don't know everything, and that if I only look at it with my eyes, I'm missing out on quite a bit. And I've realized that TCS has been a way for me to get a different set of eyes on my business. And not only my business, but as you and I were talking to, or what you were talking about was life, the world. How many times have we been on a call and it didn't say one thing about Blacktop? It was literally our businesses and the world around us, right? Like, touch on that a little bit, that it's not just Blacktop.
Yeah, it's I think that the world kind of went through this period where, work-life balance, and you got to separate things, and, this concept of, somehow people thinking that they can shut everything off when they leave work for the day. And, for me, that's never been the case. From the time that I started a business, I wanted to include my family. I know you're the same, right?
Yep.
And it's like, so coaching business is only a portion of what's necessary to be able to be successful. Because if we're all not happy personally, if we don't understand what people want personally, if we don't know how to motivate people and to get them to fulfill their dreams, one of the things that I say all the time here at the Pavement Group is like, every single person we bring in here as a team member, the company's dreams have to be big enough to fit all of theirs in it. And if they're not, they will not stay, man. And so that form and kind of how we do everything at Top Contractor School, we build better lives for contractors. We don't just coach people on how to run a business. And that's the goal. And that's the reason why the family type environment, and you said it earlier, man, it's the reason why I wanted to start it in the first place, was like, we've all had that feeling of being alone, man. And so many people in our industry, they say that, either they say it out loud or they say it, if you're listening for what's unsaid, that's what they're actually saying, is like, man, I feel alone. I'm an owner operator and I don't know where to go. And that's what it's there for, man. That's what those groups on Facebook are there for, to help people not be able to feel alone. Yep. That's what all of that stuff is for. And Top Contractor School is just a more formalized version of that, where, those people that really want to dig in and they want to start, putting these processes and procedures and forms and things that, I just said to somebody today on the phone, I said, the great thing about our group is everything that we talk about and teach has been battle tested, man.
Oh yeah,
it's been put into people's businesses, and it's been successful time and time again, right? The only way that somebody isn't successful with it is if they don't do it the way that we're teaching it, or they don't tell the truth.
Yeah.
There's something missing in their process. They're not being honest with people, or there's, something is off there. But outside of that, man, like, you said it before we got on here, but like, when you look back, dude, there's nobody that's been attached to all of this stuff that we're talking about that has not grown and scaled their business. And most of them have been significantly, like, talking multiples, like their business isn't growing by 10 or 20% a year. It's doubling or tripling in some cases. And that's what it's all about, man. When you can get life and business to come together, and you wake up every day feeling like you just love what you do, like, that's what this industry is for, man. Like, this is a family business industry. And that's what we're trying to build, man. Better lives and better families for those people that are part of everything that we do. And it's been incredible to watch it unfold and to watch so many people be able to achieve that.
When we talk about those Facebook groups, I started the US Seal Coaters group way back because I felt the same thing that you were just talking about. Now, in 1 year, it went from 0 to 2,800 different contractors, people, workers, whatever. It was a lot, and it was a lot to take on. Thankfully, I don't have that burden anymore. But similar to how certain things are, there was a certain amount of, like, I don't know if people or whatever, or contractors or whoever. There's kind of people, I think, sometimes think of Costco, right? And like, it's $50, $100, whatever it is. There's certain levels of membership to get in. Well, I love going to Costco because I don't have to sit behind people that are deciding whether they want to buy gum in the line or whether there's a line a mile long. I know that they're seriously there to buy some shit because they got to buy lots of it. It comes in bulk. Like, you're going to be spending some money, and we're going to get through here a lot quicker, a lot better, and we're all going to get what we want in massive amounts. I like to think of TCS like that versus the Facebook group that, or the Facebook groups in general that I started, because it allows a certain tier and level. And we went from that Instagram group and all of us talking to it consuming a lot of time. Like, for yourself, creating it took a lot of time. Now, your dollars per hour that you're worth at the pavement group, I would imagine, are pretty high. That same value goes into TCS as well. There's no reason why anybody should think, well, man, it costs X amount for this, X amount for that tier, X amount for this tier. Yes, because you are getting a lot of time and effort and energy. You heard it from Brian, 3 times a month. Some of those calls are 1 time a week. The retreats are coming in, all of us being there. And like, that's the one thing that separates it from everything else. Now, people that are I hate using the word pigeonholed, but for some reason I say it on every other podcast, dude, and I don't want to. But so then I switch, because the only other thing I say is one faceted. So people that are one faceted and one minded in the asphalt industry are like, oh, this is doing this in this industry. If they were to unplug and look at all the other industries, they have TCS inside there. They have, whether it's the green industry, the roofing industry, the plumbing industry, any of these businesses, there's these there. And the people that are in there are successful. Like we're talking about, our friends are in there. My friends from before you and I even met are in TCS with us, and they are achieving success that they wanted to achieve, that changes their life and changes their trajectory. And it becomes less about top line revenue, I think, at one point, and more about your potential and unlocking your potential to see just what you're capable of in this short time that we're here on earth. That's what I enjoy about it the most. And I think that when we get into the elite, or we're into the inner circle, we're all successful businessmen. We all live a great life. We all make plenty of what we want to make. It's going beyond that when we're in there, and it's going to our potential and the impact that we are making on people's lives as it goes. One thing that I want to touch on, and I'll let you kind of elaborate on, is people go from joining it to get more top line revenue or become a better business person to all of a sudden wanting to give back. Right. And I think that that's a culture inside of TCS that I don't know if it's just a byproduct or it's natural that you've personified it through years as well as I have, to where all of a sudden people just want to keep giving back. And all of a sudden we have a whole crew of guys that want to give back, because now some of the guys that were in there for 5 years, they're the top dogs, and we got some new guys coming in, and now we're able to talk and give back. Can we talk about that just a little bit, about how that culture is there and why it's there and how it just keeps growing?
Yeah. First, I want to respond. I'm going to steal the Costco things. I think it's an extremely good comparison.
Oh, absolutely.
Because here's the truth, dude. Anything that you want to learn in business, it's out there on the internet somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And it could be in these groups. It could be anywhere. The reason that you would join a group and pay for it is to accelerate the speed of which to do that. You don't have to sort through all the stuff to get the answers that you want. When it comes to the culture of TCS and, the desire for giving back, interesting to go back to the beginning of the inner circle. And so, when we started that group, I said, this isn't going to be an open group. Like, you can't just join it. You have to actually, apply and be accepted, because, we have to be careful about, who is coming in there. Number one,
Yep.
Are they in the right place in business to be able to do that? If not, then we put them in the other group and try to coach them up so that ultimately they can become part of that group. But when I interviewed that group of people, man, I never forget this. I walked out of my office. I was still working out of my house at the time. And I walked out into the living room and I told my wife, I just interviewed 16 people. And 16 out of 16 companies said this: I don't just want to learn, I want to give. Like I want to find a place where I can share what I've been through and the challenges that I've faced and the difficulties. And I don't know how that happened, dude. I really don't know how you attract all of those people. To, you have to think that something that you're saying is attracting that somehow those people of all like minds, hearts, and values find the same place. And that's become a really important part of, that I always knew that had to be part of it, but it's become a really big staple in our group is not just giving knowledge, but giving back. I mean, this group of people has given financially to groups and organizations in ways that, nobody knows because we don't talk about it. And it's not something that we do to gain brownie points. It's something that we do because it's part of who we are. When we create success, paying that forward is really important. But, that idea of giving back to our industry, man, is important. And it's exciting to see that multiplying because it really is. This industry has given me and my family and everybody that works for the pavement group and everybody that's part of TCS rewards beyond our wildest dreams in some cases. And, there's a responsibility there, right? To pay it forward and to really leave an impact. And I feel that, and I know our group feels that, and I know you feel that. That's why we're here talking on this podcast today. It's really meaningful. It's not hokey. It's not anything cliche. It's real. And it's awesome to be able to see that, that mission of giving back makes such an impact and it being undeniable, man. Anybody that's part of what we're doing, that's on the inside. Like you said, there's a lot of people out there that might be skeptical looking from the outside in. And I get that and appreciate that. And everybody's welcome to their opinion. But if you're on the inside of it, dude, it's undeniable what we all do for each other. And I've said this to a bunch of people in the group at different times. I said, never forget how special this is. I'll never take it for granted because to me, we all believe that it's normal. This is what's normal to us.
Yes. I was just going to say,
but it's not normal to everybody else. And there's a lot of people out there and I'm talking to all of them right now. Like anybody that's listening to this, man, that's ever felt alone, you don't have to feel that way. And I mean that, like, it's not about the money. It's not about you joining the organization. It's about you getting to know people that are part of it that will help you for $0. And it's not about the money. It never has been. The things that we do, doing these big events and things like that, it takes money to do those. And so we take the money that we make and we try to pour it back in, and we have a blast twice a year at these events, trying to push things forward. And we try to do bigger and bigger things all the time. Why? Because, dude, we're trying to put the industry in a place that's different, man. We're trying to get people to say like, damn, man, what are these guys doing? And that's, it's not for the glory for ourselves. It's for, the total impact of, man, being able to get people to work for your company that may not have wanted to work for it before if it wasn't known or it wasn't out there in front of people. And so that's a long answer to your question, man, but all important stuff to talk about and for people to understand what the real mission is for all of us, not just TCS, but what we're all trying to do by reaching people and helping people. I try to be available as much as I can to answer questions, man, of anybody, because people did that for me. And I know people did that for you. And that's how we got here.
Yeah. I think now I'm usually one track mind when you give me a response like that, but I went ahead and filed one away back there. And I think that the very first thing we touched on when you were like, I don't know how the group got like this and why everybody, the 16 of 16 people that are in there or were in there to begin with are like that. I know why it is. It's purpose. So we all, the people that were in there had achieved their purpose to that point, right? They had run a successful business, provided for their family, provided for everyone else. They have all this knowledge in the industry that they had been sitting on, because around that time when I started the Facebook groups, they had all jumped in there, and that was a hodgepodge of everything and everybody. And then when you start TCS, that allowed them to get into that one too as well. And it allowed them to more directly release their purpose, right? Like, for the rest of my days, there's community is going to be here, whether it's the whole asphalt community in general or TCS in general. I have a purpose and I can give back. People value it. I value absolutely every piece of information, whether it's good or bad. I value it because I'm able to recognize if it's bad and file that on that side. So both ways, I get it. The other thing that I wanted to touch on is what we are doing, whether that's Blacktop Banter, whether that's TCS, whether that's NPE, whether that's Pavement Mag, whoever it is. I really enjoy those big events you're talking about. I want this to look cool for my son. I don't want to have the feeling that some of the guys did where they watched their dad make money, do their business, was stressed, kicked the grave, and they're like, no, I don't want any part of that. I want to make sure that whether it's my kids or your children or whoever, I'm making it as cool as possible because it is cool as possible. It is fun. We do have a great time, whether it's Quincy at the World of Asphalt or Eli running a striper, whatever it is cool. And that is what we need in order to get people interested in our trade going forward. We're going to have roads until Elon makes hovercrafts. We're going to have roads, man. We're going to have parking lots, everything. So I want to make sure that the talent and the people that are interested in this industry from real little stay here. And it's not the things of the world that make them be like, I'm not going to do this. They want to be TikTok stars or, if they want to be NFL players, that'd be fine. And let's talk about NFL players real quick before we jump off there, because that venue that you were talking about today, that you toured and whatnot, that is going to be a future home of one of the retreats coming up, correct?
Yes, sir. June 24th to the 26th, we will be invading Heinz Field, the home of the Pittsburgh Steelers, to have the next Top Contractor School, the 2022 summer retreat for the inner circle. Will be at Heinz Field, and just awesome, dude. I was walking around there today, going there as a kid and, watching games and being a fan my whole life. And then, being able to bring, 70 to 100 of my closest friends from around the country and, having 3 days, not just at Heinz Field, but in my hometown. And it was surreal, man. It was like walking around there and I was like, this is cool, man. Like to be able to do this and to, be able to look up and look around you and see all the things. And I'll keep some things a secret because I think it'll be pretty cool for people to see. I told you before we got on here, but it's incredible, man. And that is what this industry is about, man. And it's, I walked out of there and I got on the phone with Mike from my team and I said, it's awesome, man, to go from, growing up or where I grew up and, people where I grew up, we couldn't go to football games whenever we wanted. Right. And we couldn't, and now to be able to know that this industry, man, has provided an opportunity for all of us to go and take that place over and have an event there. It's cool, dude. It is, it's a surreal feeling and it's awesome. It makes it even better, dude, to know that I'm going there with people that are like family to me, and to, it's an experience. That's what I kept thinking the whole time I was walking around there. Is like, dude, we got to do everything to make this the best experience, because that's what people remember, man.
It is.
They're not going to remember everything you teach them in a weekend, right? Or anything that you can walk away with, but they will absolutely remember the experience and how they felt, going through there and walking through the doors for the first time, seeing all the things that they get to see inside the stadium. And that it does, man, it creates this psychological switch that you say, what you just said, man, this is cool. Like this is something I can get down with. And you said it earlier, but my kids and family have come to every retreat that we've had. And, I've gotten my kids up on the stage and, just seeing what it's like. And, they start asking like, where is this person going to be there? Is that, they want to know who's going to be there because, everybody in the industry that's in our group, man, has become an extended family to them. I had a bunch of guys from the group and their families at my house for New Year's this year. It's like this stuff. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's not business, man. It's life. And when we live it all together and we blend it together and we do all these things and we have fun together, man, and we support each other. And, you know, we can do incredible things. And, you know, going back, man, 6 years ago, I can tell you this, I did not think we would be walking into Heinz Field, right?
No,
You know, that was not on the list,
No.
but I'm damn glad it made it on the list.
Yeah, I think some of it has developed as we went along. Like there were always goals, but it wasn't very specific, and now it is. One feeling that never gets old for me is the people that we're talking about, that are in our circle, that are in our group. This even happens with me outside of that, because I know so many people and I'm close with a lot of people in our industry. As soon as I see a familiar face and I'm in the same place and experiencing whatever they are at the same time, I'm immediately in my happy place. Like there is not another place I would rather be. Like you and I, we were in Miami a couple years ago, and we were in the line for breakfast to get a bagel and a coffee or something. And we were stuck in a line there for 20 or 30 minutes. That was the best time for me, dude. It was after everything had went, you had already spoke, all the pressure was off. We just were able to chill for just a minute and be like, and look back on it a little bit. Speaking of that retreat coming up, what can people expect? I really just want to, I don't want to seem like I'm plugging it like crazy, but I think there's great value.
Well, how much do you want to tell them? That's the question. Do we want
That's up to you. That's up to you.
Do we want to tell them what's going to happen there?
Well, I mean, the Packers have played there at Heinz Field before. Like it's happened. Like Green Bay Packers have been there. So people,
yeah. So I thought it was
people
only
from Wisconsin do go to Pittsburgh and get.
I
in
agree.
Heinz Field, you know,
and I am a big fan of the state of Wisconsin. It's you know, I had a lot of great times in the state of Wisconsin, and so I thought it was only appropriate, man, when we do something big, to bring some friends along to do some big things with us. And so I'm excited, man, to have an episode of the banter happen live from Heinz Field.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome, dude. It was the first, I don't know, it was one of the first things I thought about was like, man, our industry you know, needs to see as much of this as they possibly can, you know. Not that they need to see Top Contractor School, but that you know, we want to plant those seeds everywhere that we can. And so I called Marvin on the phone and I said, hey man, I got an idea.
Yeah.
I want to see what you think. And I said, what if we did an episode of the banter live from the next Top Contractor School retreat? And I painted the picture of like where it's going to be set up. And he was like, dude, I'll be there.
Yeah.
I already promised your son I was coming anyway,
I did.
so I could check.
I
check two boxes at the same time. So
I did.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. It's gonna be fun to do that. So episode of the banter. The way that the retreats kind of run is, you know, Friday night we have a welcome party. Everybody gets into town Friday at some point. We have a welcome party, and you know, that'll be at the stadium in a cool section of the stadium, kind of overlooking the field. And everybody will have an awesome experience that night. We'll do the podcast, and then Saturday and half a day Sunday, we do speakers and education and workshops, and, you know, really working through different areas of people's businesses. And, you know, our goal is to leave people that, you know, from that weekend with better relationships, better knowledge, and kind of recharge going back into the back half of the year. Right. You know, we all kind of go through the first 6 months of the year, give or take, and we get to this retreat. And when we leave there, we should be charged up and ready to go for the back half of the year. And that's the goal, man. So this one, we're gonna talk a lot about family business and the power of family business and the power of family and community. There'll be kind of an underlying theme on the power of that and how we use that to our advantage. You know, it stood out to me for many years that almost every business, virtually every business in our industry has started as a family business.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you look at that, there's a lot of power of that. And so we've got some cool speakers coming in that are going to cover some of the topics on that. We're not releasing the list of speakers for a reason, because, you know, I want people to come to the event for the right reason. You know, that they shouldn't come to see a speaker. They should come to see the people that will be there, right? And be part of that community. And then they get rewarded by whatever speakers happen to show up. So it's going to be an awesome weekend. And we got some activities planned in the evenings. We always do some cool stuff with, showing people where we are and getting out of the event venue, or, taking them to a cool place. So we got something cool planned for Saturday night. And so for everybody listening and watching, man, just stay tuned and watch social channels on the 24th to the 26th, or you can show up and hang out with us if you so choose.
We got
a limited number of tickets available. So for those people out there that might want to join us, hit us up. We're happy to host you.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time, man. It's going to be good. I've always wanted something to happen midsummer, just for a few days. Like I understand every day counts, but man, for a few days, if it can get you fired up so that the end of August, mid-September, you're not burned out and you have some kind of gusto, these are what does it for me. Like MPE, I come back, dude, and there's snow on the ground 2 feet deep. I got stuff in the shop. I'm wrenching, dude. I'm starting to go through the client list. Totally way ahead of time, but I'm fired up and ready to go. I'm hoping that, and I know it is what's going to happen this time. Just, you can't not, because of the people that you're going to be around. It just happens. And the other thing is, all these people that we're connected to, that we follow on social and follow us and do everything, you're able to ask them questions in person at that point, right? That you might not want to put on a comment section or DM or whatever. So it allows you to do that. So I'm very excited to be part of the program, on the list. I'm honored actually that you were like, dude, I think as soon as you knew, you texted me, and there was a picture of Heinz Stadium with a Blacktop Banter logo and an arrow going like towards the monitor. And I was like, oh,
that's where we're going to broadcast.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit. I was like, I'm in, dude. I'm totally in. I'm very excited for that. One thing that before we get off of everything that we've covered, I want to touch on is, you recently crossed the 500th episode of Morning Perspective. One thing that I have kind of pointed towards all of your success is your consistency. I'm not that as consistent as you are when it comes to it. How has Morning Perspective hit 500 episodes? And then not only that, it's not just Blacktop people or even our friends lists that are in there. There's all kinds of people that are following along with Morning Perspective. Some of it from the Clubhouse world, leaked over into that when we were really hitting it pretty hard. Talk about that real quick and where people can find it.
Yeah, it's been unreal, man. I think, when you set out to do something, you have an idea, right? Just like anybody, and you say like, I'm going to give this a shot, right? And you think to yourself like, yeah, I don't know if anybody's going to listen, if it's going to suck. I have no idea, right? I just know that I got something to say. And, you get over that fear of, what people are going to think of you. That was one of the things in the beginning. I thought like, I don't care a lot what people think, but I think we all have that gene where we think like, man, I don't want people to think that, that I think I'm so important that people should listen to me or anything like that. And so I know a lot of people don't do these kinds of things because of that voice in their head that says like, I don't want my friends thinking like, who's this guy think he is or whatever. It took me a long time to get over that. And, it got to a point where I was like, I had a lot of people saying to me like, dude, you should do this. Like, and kind of encouraging me. And I finally said, all right, I'm just going to give it a shot, and so, I mean, dude, that first episode, I probably wrote it out for like, forever, right? I had everything written down that I wanted to say, and, the whole conversation scripted. And, I just got to a place where I was like, I'm going to do this for me. And I know that it's going to help somebody, right? If it's one person, that is truly good enough. And, I just one at a time, man, I started thinking about, and then I was like, man, how am I going to keep coming up with stuff to talk about? Right. Like, how do you, how do you think of all these different things? And my mission was simple, man. I was like, get people away from the television or away from the news in the morning, away from, just scrolling through the feed, reading, negativity, and to really just be able to start their day with some kind of motivation or inspiration that helps them get off on the right foot, some perspective to start your day off with. And dude, of all the titles, of all the different things that I've talked about on that show, most of the time, man, it's either something that somebody's talking to me about, like, calling me, asking me a question, or something I'm going through that I can, somehow transfer that lesson or experience to people and give them some perspective that maybe they don't have to learn on their own, right? That, something I'm going through an experience. And, it's funny, man, because like when you get the number like 480 something, you start like, dude, I'm like, this many days, or this is the day that it's going to be on or whatever. And, then I started thinking like, man, do I do something different for episode 500? Do I like, something interesting, bring some special guest on or something? And, really, dude, it's just become just like this show, man. It's become just a family of people that show up in the morning. And the podcast downloads, dude, are 15 different countries downloading things, people that I've met from other countries, to your point, on Clubhouse and different places. And, they start downloading it, subscribing, and then iTunes just keeps feeding it to them. So it's, it just keeps rolling into their feed and they keep listening. Right.
Yep.
And, but I will tell you, man, some of the greatest relationships that I have in my life have either started from that podcast. Like, we mentioned Chris Filippelli, who's on the board of Top Contractor School. I met Chris through Morning Perspective. Somebody sent it to him, and he started watching. And he was, just starting out in business at that point. And we've gotten to know each other. He was one of the guys that spent New Year's with his now wife and daughter at my house for New Year's. And some of the greatest relationships have either started there or have definitely strengthened through that show. And, consistency is one of the keys of life, man. That consistency and showing up that many times, it's been an incredible lesson in life, is that, man, if you just keep showing up, things will happen for you. And, people will find you that are supposed to find you. And, through that show, man, one of the greatest gifts, like there've been, lots of people send you messages about how things have impacted them, but there's been 2 people through that show who have sent me messages that considered taking their own life and didn't because of something that was talked about on that show. And I say that to this audience because I think that there's probably a lot of people that listen to this show that have an idea themselves, and like, maybe you're the person that is supposed to save somebody else. And, use your gift, man. Don't be afraid, and don't care so much about what people think, because somebody out there is just like you and needs to hear your message. A lot of people probably wonder how the heck Marvin and I are friends in some cases, right? Because they think we're so different. But in all reality, that's what it might look like, but it's not the case. And people that are going to listen to Marvin might not listen to me, or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
But if you really spend the time, you're going to figure out that we're all a lot more alike than we are different. And somebody out there, man, needs to hear what you have to say. And it just might change somebody's life, man. So if you have that, deep inside you, that you have something that you want to do, don't let the fears or the doubts or what people think stop you from doing it, man. Give the gift that you have inside of you, that God planted in you, to the world, and you will be so glad you did.
Well, that was the point where I'm supposed to ask you for advice, but apparently we already covered that one, so we won't do that one, my friend. Somehow you've managed to do that just about every time. When I think back about the precursor to Blacktop Banter, which was Wiscoat Wednesday, the amount of fear that I had, I think is what birthed the anxiety issues that I have now. Because I knew for a fact, because you and I both were Gary Vee students back then, I knew for a fact that I had to do it in order to achieve what I wanted to achieve. But the fear was so bad. And, where you kind of touched on this fear of being ridiculed a little bit, right? But it isn't even that. Like, we provide for our families ourselves through us, because we seem like we're logical, normal human beings that don't do things off the cuff. Making videos and recording and putting your voice out there when we first started was something that seemed like a little, my guy might not be all right. But I fast forward, and I got you asking me to speak at Heinz Stadium. I'm pretty sure that we did it the right way, looking back. So where can people find Brian Hess? And I want the actual Instagram profile, not the 5 or 6 that keep popping up that you keep sending me, of Real Brian Hess 1, Real _ Brian Hess, Real Brian with a Y Hess, Like there's
I haven't
always
seen that one yet. That's a new one, but I have seen all the other ones.
Oh, that's the one I made. You ain't seen it yet.
I don't, just so you guys, like, just to make it clear, I don't do crypto. I don't have Bitcoin, and I don't sell it to people.
Right.
Nothing like that would be coming from me.
You're good at a lot of things. I'm not going to take
crypto's not one of them.
advice.
That's not on the list. I haven't gone down that path yet, but yeah, it's real Brian Hess, RealBrianHess on all platforms. The Pavement Group is easy to find too. Just the name. Top Contractor School, same. The handles are all just real simple, just the names, and would love to connect with anybody, man. And I know, there's a lot of people in our industry that I haven't connected with, that haven't, that I haven't had the opportunity to talk with. I always love getting to know new people, man, and especially those people who are out there hustling and trying to get it done, and are looking for some direction, or looking for, hey, how do you do this or whatever, man. I'm excited to get on the phone and talk to people and share whatever knowledge that, if anybody thinks I can help in any way, I'm happy to be there.
Dude, one of my favorite calls is in the fall going into the winter, when everybody kind of regroups and they look back at their numbers, and we all are like, holy shit, man, how did we do that? I think that's a testament to people, even me, right? This 18th year, the last 8 years, the last 7 years have been my best ones. So to say that the value that I got from it is immense is an understatement, I think, because not only did my business flourish, but my life has well. I have a lot of great friends, a lot of great connections. There is not anybody that I don't know in the industry, Brian. So, that's the victim. I'm a victim of that. All right. So you and I are going to do a pod deck real quick. A fun question. I'm hoping it's not the hot dog one. I'm going to have to buy a new deck, because I think, dude, there's 100 cards here, and I at least get the same question every other episode. The hot dog one.
Dude, you should make your own deck.
I really should. Yeah. I should, dude. I should.
Blacktop Banter cards.
Yeah. Blacktop Banter.
Banter cards.
All right, man. No, I'm not asking that one. That was one that we were going to have. Okay. Oh, I already know the answer to this one. I'll ask you it, but I already know the answer. But the bottom, there's a second part to it that you can answer. It says, if you were stranded on a desert island and you could choose one person to keep you company, who would it be? I already know that one. But the bottom part says, what about one animal?
Easy top one is my wife.
Yes.
For sure.
Animal. Yeah. Something to spice it up.
I don't know that it would be a good choice, but I would love to hang with a lion, dude.
Yeah. It'd make it interesting.
You'd never go hungry. It's my favorite animal because I like to think that that's the best hunter out there, right?
Yeah.
And that's me. It's kind of channeling my inner sales guy. That's what I believe. So I think it'd be cool, man. I hope he wouldn't eat me. But
I was gonna say the lion's not gonna grow hungry either, buddy.
Yeah, hopefully there's enough food on the island. It doesn't include me. But that would be my choice.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It'd be cool to kind of have a standoff once in a while, and both of you just kind of look each other down and be like, "Yep, you can stay over there."
Talk about learning how to negotiate.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's under some pressure for real, right there, man. Cool, Brian. Thanks again, man. As always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to do it formally here. I'm really excited to fulfill a promise I made to your little guy. I will see you in a month for sure. And I'll see a lot of people on both sides of our coin there in your hometown, your home state here before too long, my friend. So awesome. For Brian and myself, this is Blacktop Banter. We speak asphalt here, and you get perspective also once in a blue moon, at least twice a year. So you get some perspective from this thing versus opinion. So this is Blacktop Banter. Once again, as always, we want you to seal it, pave it, stripe it, and kill it. Peace.